SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Well, another Zoom call, another day. You know, I had to peel my ass off the couch today, guys, and sit on the couch to do this. And I just want you to know that I made a huge sacrifice. I went from laying on my back to sitting up, and it's been a really hard day, and I just needed to be acknowledged, okay?
Can you stop yourself from doing the just I'm getting old?
I'm not. It's weird. I'm 32, but I'm not creaky at all. Like, I haven't had any injury.
Shut up.
And like, my back is good, my knees are good, my hips are good. Like, they're a little tight. Like,
okay,
but
now you're just hurting.
like, I don't have
neck,
creakiness.
my back, my crack.
My L3, L4, and L4, L5. My SI joint, my labrum.
Steve, do you know a thing or two about being creaky?
No.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I've gotten a talking to from many professionals recently.
Have you?
And your friends.
Yeah. I got a pinch nerve. The nerve. So this is an actual conversation I had, as long as we're starting here.
Yeah, why not? What the hell?
And then I have something to say about Adam.
Oh, great. Well, so, speaking of Adam, one thing we know about him, giant ass. And
Yeah, I do have a big ass. I have a Kyle Lowry ass.
And so, what we were talking about when I started seeing this trainer in January, back when it was legal to see people, is I need to get stronger in the ass. I need stronger glutes and all that. And so since January, because I've still been seeing him over FaceTime, I've just been doing glutes. And he's like, just the other day, he's like, you got to push forward because you're not sitting right. Sorry, the pelvis wasn't sitting right. Not I'd sit down improperly. And I'm like, dude, my ass is twice the size it was in January. It's
That's
jacked.
not bad.
I got a hockey ass now. It's jacked. And I'm like, I'm starting to think it's not my ass. I'm starting to think, and like, I'm sure that was part of the issue, and I'm glad we fixed it. Like, I do generally feel better, but I got this pinched nerve that's really holding me back from being able to enjoy the fruits of my ass labor. My ass is rocking, guys. It's really good, but I need to be able to enjoy it. I wish I could be like Adam Wilde and enjoy my big ass.
When you get back on the ice, you're going to be a little bit more skilled now that you got a better lower body. Because that's all it is, right?
I would think so.
A little more torque.
Yeah.
I would know. Well, torque is, now you're using words that I'm not allowed to use. Like, I can't. I don't know.
It just means like a little more like power or pull, basically.
No, I know what torque means. It's not what I meant. I mean, my spine sucks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So now everyone knows about my dangle dunk. It is my daddy dangle dunk.
Jesse, what did you want to say?
Enormous. Yes,
I wanted to say, because you mentioned how you don't have any creaks. And I don't think we give Adam Wilde here enough credit for being sneaky athletic. I played softball with Adam once, and he started off the game with a home run, ladies and gentlemen. And he followed that home run up with a triple. This man has a lot.
Did he get into a fight for the Gordie Howe? Or is that how it works? I don't know baseball.
I didn't.
He also made a nice play at third base. And I
bet he did.
Give Adam enough credit. I'm the retired amateur baseball player.
Jesse was AAA.
Adam Wilde here, from his hockey playing days, they've translated to grown man softball. So round of applause for him.
Thank you, Jesse. Jesse stacked the middle of the lineup. By the way, our team was really in it until they weren't in the second inning. 15-5. Jesse and I batted in every run. So Jesse, I hit a homer. Jesse hit a homer. Jesse hit a double, drove someone in, and I drove Jesse and someone else in with a triple. So like, it literally was just us. But you'll
be joining me soon now that you're carrying your team.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they've canceled it now because of COVID. Thank you, COVID. Right. I don't know if I'm sneaky athletic more than it's just surprising with the frame that I have that I can do anything at all. I think more is like, you know what I mean? Like, people look at, everyone dances around this with poor Vlad Guerrero Jr. And I know how this feels. where
That's a good
You are the
example.
same, you and him. You are the same.
well, on a very minute scale, that boy is thick, but he can play ball, right?
Yeah.
And they did the same thing to Prince Fielder, where Prince Fielder's a thick guy, but that guy could run and he could hit until he couldn't. And so I think what it is that, you expect everybody who's good at athletics to look like Jesse, and mostly they are. And mostly I'm not good at athletics, but I just happen to really like baseball. So I played a lot growing up.
Adam is sneaky athletic, but I think what helps him along is he's not so sneaky competitive.
100%. He can make up for a lot of stuff by just trying hard. I've learned that in life.
Adam was notorious for trying the hardest at trampoline dodgeball. Just straight to the brain. Just he was basically Ben Stiller from dodgeball. He was outrageous.
And Adam, you played trampoline dodgeball for what, like 3 years?
3-4 years, yeah.
He played in a league.
Like that's sneaky. That's a sneaky athletic thing to do on a Tuesday night.
It was awesome.
Hey, I'm just gonna go play some trampoline dodgeball.
I've told you about the time Jesse showed up, and have I told you that, Steve? Have I told you about that?
We've told that story.
I'm not
Have
sure.
we? Yeah, where Jesse showed up and was the best player on either court in his first game.
Well, yeah.
he was just like his first game, walks out there. He's like, I don't know the rules. Catch, throw. Everybody's out.
Dodgeball.
Like, it's amazing.
Who was it? Your birthday? Was it your? We went to one of those like obstacle courses, like for grown-ups,
my birthday.
sort of. You were there.
That wasn't that your wife's birthday, was it not?
Oh, was it? Yeah, sure.
I think it was.
It was
She wanted to do
downtown, the obstacle course. It was like right around from where I was living, and we went there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And there was that crazy half pipe thing where you got to run up the ramp and like grab onto the top. I was like, like getting hyped up to do it, running as fast as I can, trying as hard as I could, and I did it. And I was so proud. And there's Jesse like walking up with the limbs of the Simpsons. Do you think there's something comical about the size of my automobile? And just like grabbing onto the top of it. Like unbelievable.
I couldn't even get up there.
He did it in 2 steps. It was stupid.
I think we came on here and talked about the obstacle course of the day, the next podcast now.
Well, our numbers have tripled since then, so there's going to be at least.
We're a way bigger friggin' deal. People need to know about our achievements.
Yeah, these boring these are old man stories where you're just sitting around talking about reminiscing.
Yeah.
I ever talk about how Chris Draper went to my elementary school. So anyway.
So, it's been a busy week. I know that because of arbitration, things have kind of been put on hold, but I feel like we'll probably get news right up until like next Wednesday, Thursday, and then it's just going to die on us for about a month until we, and our schedule will reflect that. Just a heads up. We will be going down to 1 episode a week here pretty soon. But the thing is that training camps are apparently going to begin at the beginning of January, the beginning of December. As far as we know, if that happens, we'll be right back up to 2 a week. So we have to take our rests where we can, because there's a pretty good chance that they play a full season. And even if your favorite Canadian team is only playing 6 other teams the entire season, which is entirely possible with this all Canada division that they're proposing, I still think it's kind of cool. I think it's going to be fun.
I'm ravenous for the idea, especially after CJ's little tidbit that he threw in there about the AHL teams following them around.
Oh yeah, like
ravenous,
amazing.
Give that to me now, forever, always, please.
So if that is the case, I think we're in for a pretty exciting season, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I mean, just a heads up, we're going to dial it back just a little bit. The last 2 shows have been action packed. Thank you to Eric Engels and Chris Johnston twice for making time for us. Obviously we're going to line up some interviews and that sort of thing for the quote unquote off season, but we think there's a good chance that if the season starts in January, it probably doesn't end till August. So we're going to be really in it for the next little bit. So we're going to take our rest where we can and, have a weekend because it's going to get crazy and who knows with COVID and everything else, where this is all going to go. And I'm kind of excited about what I like about being under pressure like this, or with the league under pressure, is it forces leagues to be creative. There are things like, just to give you an idea, in Ontario, we had some pretty restrictive liquor laws, for instance. And one of the things that COVID did was loosened our liquor laws, because they finally allowed restaurants, which were not allowed to be open, to sell booze right outside of the restaurant so they could at least make some money. And so people, instead of going to the government-sanctioned beer or liquor store, would go to the restaurants and pay a little bit of a surcharge for it.
That blew my mind in Saskatchewan the first time we were able to do it.
Or you get liquor on sale in Alberta.
In the store.
Yeah, you have
a convenience store.
Yeah, but in Saskatchewan, you can walk out of the bar.
Oh,
with a
like
six-pack.
What, half off? JT?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It's
That's
nuts. Crazy.
I always remember going to Montreal, like when you're 18 or whatever, and that's their legal drinking age. You walk into any convenience store and you just buy a pack of whatever or a bottle of whatever, and you just walk out. And you're like, this is the greatest thing ever. Why isn't all of life like this?
Right.
Jesse,
right.
I remember going to Montreal as a 17-year-old because I was born in 1988, and an 8 scratches into a 3 rather easily.
That's fun.
Did you know that, kids? I am the reason why they had to change your license. Seriously, people born in 88 are the reason why there's a hologram now.
It's true.
They ruined it for everybody.
Which is fine. I'm fine with that.
It is fine.
So basically, it's just as an example, it's forced us to loosen up laws that were made 70 years ago when everybody was afraid that booze were going to, it used to be you couldn't shop on Sundays in Ontario. And actually, when I moved out to Nova Scotia, they had just opened up shopping on Sundays about 10 years ago. This happened. 100%.
We closed on Sundays when we were kids.
Yep. Yeah, you couldn't open
that.
And and then they had restricted hours, so it could only be open like 12 to 6 or something like that, because that was the Sabbath, and that was built into the law. And people were like, "We're not religious. Some of us are not religious. What about us?" And so the interesting thing is that it has forced everybody to get creative. Obviously, we're on Zoom. We haven't been in the same room to record this show since early March, which is crazy to think. And I don't know. Sometimes I think about I don't know if we're ever going to go back to that, because Steve now has a child and we figured out how to do the show, and we'll probably upgrade some equipment, get some better backgrounds, especially Steve's, which is just horrendous. But if, but
don't listen, Brent.
What I like about where we're going with the NHL is that the NHL, being a conservative league, not really willing to move on things. I love the idea that they're being forced out of their comfort zone. They're being forced to try something new.
It's awesome.
It's great. And now it could be a complete failure, but at least they tried. And I don't think it will be. I think it'll actually be very exciting. And there's going to be lots of great new storylines, fresh things to talk about. I'm really excited about looking forward to hockey in potentially January or February, although I still think it's going to start a little later than that. If, let's say, hockey starts in January, February, usually at that point in the season, it's post-Christmas. Everybody gets a little bit of the blues. It slows down. The players are not in it. The media is not in it. Everybody's a little bit slower. And then it sort of picks up again around the trade deadline. I'm kind of excited to be amped up for hockey in January. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's like it would be fresh and new, and an entire hockey season will exist within one calendar year. It won't be the 2020-2021. It'll just be the 2021 season.
Hockey starting in January saved my channel. By the end of the 2011-12 season, I was bored. The Leafs sucked. I was just generally unhappy and lost interest in my videos, and I had to get my toys taken away. And then the lockout shortened season came back, and it was just adrenaline. And it helped that the Leafs were adrenaline as well. Save my freaking channel.
Do you think
the interest was so high that season?
We were talking about that on the phone the other day, Steve. Do you think that had there not been a lockout, your channel would exist today?
I'm not sure. Probably because I would have stopped for a while and then been like, what am I, stupid? And gone back to it. Because it's not like I could have relied on, I'm a really good highlight writer. I wasn't special. I didn't have a thing that most people didn't do. Right? The channel was a thing that I did that most people didn't do. Sorry, what?
No unique selling position other than that?
No. And that's literally how I got my job at CBC. Is I applied for a job that my friend told me to apply for. And the person interviewing me was like, this is a little out of your depth, but what's this about your YouTube channel? And I literally got up and took his computer back, thinking of all the unsanitary things we used to do that I wouldn't have thought twice of ever, but I'm I touched his computer. Anyway, he let a stranger touch his computer. I started looking up my Olympic videos and stuff and showing them. And I only showed him the best ones. Here's me in a Cadillac with Alex Bilodeau. And he's like, all right, so we'll start you off doing this low position, but like maybe you can do videos for us. It's how I got my job.
There you go. And now look at you. Surrounded
now
by
look
balls.
at me in a room that apparently sucks, you bully. This room is amazing.
Steve Dangle. Let's get into Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. Selly of the week, although we're going to go back into the vault because there is no Selly to celebrate right now. Now, Steve, you mentioned the 2010 Winter Olympics.
Yes.
Okay? I'm going to challenge you today.
Okay.
And this is off the cuff. This is like, it's like History Corner, but for hockey with Steve. Okay. Besides the Golden Goal.
We're about to find out, Tony.
Besides the Golden Goal, Steve, what was the best celebration at the 2010 Winter Olympics?
Besides the Golden Goal, what was the best celebration at the Olympics?
In Vancouver. Canada wins gold over the United States. Let us never forget.
I have 3, and I will give them to you quickly.
I can't remember any goal other than the one Sidney Crosby scored. He's got 3 potential here. All right, go ahead.
Well, it's to come up with one goal is difficult. But for the women's gold medal game, which I continue to maintain was the most underrated hockey game played at those Olympics, Marie-Philippe Poulin had both goals. But if I'm not mistaken, the States outshot Canada to hell. And Shannon Zabados, who I want to say entered the Olympics as their like third stringer. Mm-hmm. I don't think she was the starter, was unbelievable. And with every save she made, the ovation just got louder and louder because it was closer and closer to, oh my God, we're actually going to do this. And then we did. And what I remember about their gold medal celebration, so they freak out. Everyone's enjoying it because it's in Canada. But then the Jumbotron shows the men's team in the press box because their gold medal game was a couple days later. And they are uncomfortable. And it was just this great moment of joy, obviously, because of the women's gold medal, and also them drinking with beer and cigars on the ice, which almost got them their medal stripped, apparently. Remember that stupid story that lasted for 5 minutes? So that was all amazing. But the anticipation of seeing the men's team go, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We really got a high standard here. But they should be thanking the women's team, because if they had lost, it'd be, well, now it's all up to the men.
I think that women's team, it's unfortunate that women's team gets buried the way it does because of what happened, the drama of the men's game, because that was just an unbelievable squad.
Well, and people forget, Canada almost blew the semifinal against Slovakia. They were up 3-0 and Slovakia came back 3-2. That's
right. And that was who was the goalie for, was it Slovakia's goalie that was on fire that
Jaro
tournament?
Halak?
No, that's 20. I'm thinking 2014. It was Kristers Grzelevskers or something like that in 2014.
You're thinking Sochi. That was Latvia.
Yeah, that was Sochi. Okay, that was Latvian. Okay, never mind. I'm getting my countries confused.
Canada also lost to the U.S. in the round robin in 2010.
Yeah, they did. I was at that game.
Yeah,
I was at that game.
And the women weren't outshot in the gold medal game.
Oh, they weren't? It felt like it.
It was 29-28.
Oh, okay. So. Yeah. That was just my anxiety talking then. From the Slovakia game, there was the handshakes between Luongo and Pavel Demitra, who at the time were Canucks teammates. So that was really cool. When another game I remember, Canada versus Russia, like everyone's nervous because Canada, they should have got a bye, or at least in everyone's opinion, they should have got a bye. They end up losing to the States. So they have to play in this play-in game against Germany, in which Shea Weber put the puck through the net. And then they had to play against Russia, and everyone's just like, Jesus, Russia's juiced. This roster's so good. And Canada ended up kicking their ass. It was like 7-3 or something like that. So I just remember that entire game being an ovation.
What was the score?
7-3, I think.
You nailed it.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
I want to test your knowledge on this stuff.
This is great.
I want to run down some of these numbers.
But underrated celebration, and I sort of wrote about this in the book. It gets lost to history. Zach Parise tying the damn gold medal game with less than 30 seconds to go. Mm-hmm. Think of how much everyone's legacy changes if Ryan Kesler scores the Americans' first goal to make it 2-1. Parise scores the tying goal to make it 2-2. Joe Pavelski stealing the puck off a pizza from Scott Niedermayer, scoring on Roberto Luongo on his own home ice and winning the gold medal for Team USA. Think of how differently we talk about Scott Niedermayer, Roberto Luongo, Joe Pavelski, Zach Parise, Ryan Kesler. Think of how differently we talk about all those players. Sidney Crosby. Sid the Kid was a rising phenom. He already had a Hart Trophy to his name. And a cup.
Yeah,
but the gold medal was just, he went from cup to gold medal within a calendar year. It would have been, it made his legacy unstoppable, even through his injury and everything. If he doesn't have the golden goal, I don't know. It's amazing that he had this stamp put on his greatness less than half a decade into his career. So, did that answer your question?
That answered the question. Thank you very much, Steve Dangle. I enjoyed that.
Steve's great.
Can I ask Steve some questions about the 2010 roster?
Please.
Let's do it.
Steve, there were 2 players from Canadian teams on the 2010 roster. Can you name those 2 players?
2 players from Canadian teams on the 2010 roster. I think. Oh, Luongo. Luongo was on the Canucks. So there's one. And I want to say the other. Oh, Jerome McGinley, Flames.
Nailed it. Nice.
There you go. Was Jay Bouwmeester on the taxi squad?
Jay Bouwmeester.
And what team would he have been on? I think he would have been on the Flames.
He was on the reserve squad. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's tough. Canada beat Switzerland in the round robin.
Yes, I remember this.
Final score of the game.
It was 3-2. Sidney Crosby won it in the shootout. Against
Damn it.
Hiller. Wow. Hiller. What was Hiller's first name?
Jonas
Hiller. Yes.
Yep.
Crosby won it in the shootout.
All those things are correct. Anyway.
That was the only game I didn't go to for the men.
What was the final score of the Norway drubbing?
8-1.
8-0.
Damn.
Wrong.
Damn, that was the birth.
He's wrong.
That was the birth of the legend of Tor Vikingstad from Team Norway. Damn it.
Name.
Tor Vikingstad.
That's unbelievable that you remember that much detail from something that happened a decade ago.
Yeah, but get him to read a message about when the show starts.
Couldn't possibly. It's impossible. Couldn't possibly.
Oh man, I love doing that with Steve. We need to do that more often, Jesse. That was fun.
Yeah.
So you know what we're gonna do with that segment, because we're gonna take a pause with it in November, but for the remainder of October, we'll do that, and I'm gonna throw some random events out there that I know you've been to, Steve.
Okay.
And I'm gonna see what we can do. We're talking World Juniors. We're gonna get crazy. So do your homework. Okay. Now, if you are not a member of Leafs Nation, which I actually think is most people who listen to this show, surprisingly, as we're a Leaf-centric podcast, Ilya Mikheyev is probably not going to mean that much to you. Although you have to understand that this player came in, and in the less than 40 games he was here, made a huge difference, playing alongside John Tavares and mostly William Nylander. Now, he apparently accepted less money to sign with the team. I can't imagine it was much less, because he signed for $1.6 million per season for 2 straight years. So maybe he lost a couple $100,000. It's a lot of money.
It was 1.645.
Sure. Is that what it is? 1.645. But his agent, Dan Milstein, who represents a lot of players from Russia, did say that there was an agreed upon number, but that Ilya did not want to see anyone else get traded. And, it's funny. I actually think this is a pretty believable story. There's some people today kind of calling that into question, and I understand why. Because it does look like a nice public relations sort of bop for him.
Media members? Media
members, Twitter accounts, like prominent Twitter accounts and stuff. And I get it, because a lot of the time there's manufactured PR all the time, and I get that.
Names.
When you look at how Kyle Dubas handled Johnsson and Kapanen's negotiations last season, before Marner was even close to being signed, he said, we have some players that have got to bring their numbers down or they're going to be traded. Mm-hmm. So what do they want to? And the next day, Kapanen and Johnsson signed their contracts. The next day. So I think it wasn't that the Leafs were going to trade Ilya Mikheyev, but I definitely think that there was somebody else. And I think that they've sold players. They've sold Joe Thornton. They've sold Wayne Simmons. They've sold a few other guys on the fact that this team does have huge, huge potential upside. They haven't done anything with it yet. But I think Ilya Mikheyev knows, A, he's got a pretty solid little contract that walks him right through to free agency. B, a great role on a team where he gets to play with John Tavares. I mean, where else is Ilya Mikheyev going to get to play with a guy that scored 47 goals a couple years ago? Where's he going to
get that job?
Yeah, right. And beyond that, you can make great endorsement money, and the fans absolutely adore him. And the fans who are used to their star players taking exactly what they want and potentially more, actually get a guy who's like kind of a hardworking blue collar player, defensively strong, kind of a pest, and scores some goals. And he's taken a few $100,000 less. What's not to love if you're the average Toronto Maple Leaf fan? And this is a guy that average Leaf fans love, like anybody that like old school Leaf fans love Mikheyev, new school Leaf fans who love graphs and heat maps and all that stuff. We love him too. It's a
heat map Twitter.
He is, yeah.
I love it.
Heat map Twitter. Ubiquitous though. Like he's one of those guys, rare guys, kind of like Leo Komarov when Leo Komarov was at the top of his game here in Toronto before that back injury. Everybody loved Leo Komarov. And I think we found kind of the new Uncle Leo, but for a lot less money. So what does Ilya Mikheyev actually bring for anybody that's forgotten? Because remember, we didn't have him for like 6 months.
Yeah, he's a ridiculous penalty killer, and having him stay around definitely helps negate losing Kasperi Kapanen. He's, middle six forward. He was on a 17 goal, 48 point pace. And for the amount of money he's making, that's great. Some people I saw were saying they didn't love that number at 1 year, but at 2, it's good. I think it's good at 1, and it's even better.
How does it hurt you? How does it hurt you at 1?
I don't know. I guess just because he had so little leverage because he played so few games, but like leave that alone. Is he good or not? Is he going to be worth it or not? And to me, he's worth it. Lanky, fast. We didn't get to see a whole lot of his shot. It was kind of weak when he played, and then he got his wrist slashed. So I'm sure that didn't help it, but that wasn't what made him special. What made him special was the way he moves around the ice, the way he covers for defensemen, the way he can kill penalties, the way he's in the corner first, the way he's relentless on players. Kind of maybe a less mean but faster Zach Hyman, if that makes sense.
I was just going to say all the things that you're mentioning are all the things that Zach Hyman brings as well to another.
Just everything you want in a player. Like everything you want in a player. Like think of how hard he had to work rehabbing to get better, to even be there on time for the bubble. And we way overhyped him with, he was the best player during scrimmages. And then he scored 30 seconds into the warm-up game against Montreal. We got out of hand with that. But he's going to be well worth the money. He's going to play with Tavares probably to start. And if he doesn't, he'll be on the third line or something. Like he fits perfectly on this team, gives you exactly what you want. Hardworking player, leads by example, fast. Love him.
The Leafs have a glut of players. They are already over the cap, by the way. I think it's over by $75,000 right now. Now that doesn't mean if they could carry a 20-man roster out of potential 23 with paper transactions, things like that. People are still saying though, hey, like okay, so you can do this, but then there's Travis Dermott still to be re-signed,
and Joey Anderson,
yeah,
which I failed to even
maybe
realize.
not the biggest priority. But if I'm Kyle Dubas and I believe that Zach Hyman will be playing the right side, which I said in a press conference, sorry, not Zach Hyman, Travis Dermott. If I say Travis Dermott's playing the right side, I want to probably get him under contract. Now, the reason that contract probably hasn't been signed is because of arbitration. The Leafs probably had to prioritize.
Yeah.
But Travis Dermott is going to be a valuable part of this squad going forward. You'd pencil him in at 5'6" on the right side, but the other, like,
How?
you want that depth, but what's the number, and can they do this without moving someone?
No, I don't think so. Or, well, I don't know how you do it. I said in my video yesterday, like, okay, chill. There's 2 months to figure this out. Guys are going to get buried. Nick Robertson might be a casualty. You might have to get sent back to junior. And let's not
junior
confuse.
even happens.
If junior happens, right. So let's not confuse, though, what Ilya Mikheyev was saying, like, oh, I don't want anyone else to get traded. He doesn't want anyone else to get traded in the way that Andreas Janssen got traded, right? Like, we are trading you just for cap purposes.
Right.
Like, hey, Mikheyev, we were able to acquire Mackenzie Weegar in a deal, and it actually makes sense for our cap, and it makes our team better. He's not going to go, oh, like a rumph. He's not going to be upset about that. And it's not up to a guy on your second or third line who's got 39 games of NHL experience to tell a GM, hey, I took a discount. You're not allowed to make any damn trades.
Keep this team together, Kyle.
Yeah. The dynamic that I think is underratedly interesting. Well, actually, two things. One that a few people have spotted is Pierre Engvall is buried on the Leafs CapFriendly page, which is interesting because how? I don't think there was an official announcement regarding that. And he makes 1.25, which would be,
I think it's just because he's been sent down to the minors for the offseason.
Yeah, but like, did they ever officially make that move? Or
I think it's just a paper transaction, right?
Is it an assumption?
We haven't seen
made
that
by
come
the
across
website?
the wire, though. Like, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
I'll have to ask them.
Yeah.
So there was him, but also at play here. So because Dan Milstein represents bloody everybody with a Russian passport, Alexander Barabanov and Chris Johnston repeatedly brought this up. He's going to play, based on Kyle Dubas's track record with Dan Milstein clients. You would think he's going to get the best opportunity to play. Now, it might be a situation like Petri Conciola from a few years ago where they bring this guy over from the KHL and we're going to give you a chance. And they did. They gave him a chance and he wasn't good. He wasn't good. And so he left and had to go back to the KHL to play with Tractor Chelyabinsk, I believe, where he played with Kuznetsov, Evgeny Kuznetsov. But then where is Engvall?
Mm-hmm.
Is he in the minors? Where is Anderson, Joey Anderson? Mm-hmm. Where is Nick Robertson? All of a sudden, and you might go, well, you get to carry a few extra players, so you might have 2 extra forwards. No, we were just talking about having a 20-man roster, and that's how they're going to be cap compliant. So there are a lot of questions, but like, have I mentioned Matthews? Have I mentioned Nylander? Have I mentioned Marner? Have I mentioned Tavares? Have I mentioned Riley? Have I, we're talking about the bits and pieces of the lineup right now. So it's something to keep an eye on, but it's not dire. This isn't Vegas. This isn't Vegas having to trade Nate Schmidt for a third. This is the Leafs are like $100,000 or $200,000 over the cap, and they got to do like some finagling. There's a difference between finagling and getting rid of a really good defenseman for nothing.
So it was funny. Oak Leafs active stick on Twitter was mentioning the other day, and I didn't realize this. We've talked about many times, and I think we're not the only show to talk about this. But it's the $3 to $5 million, and I would say even as recently as this season pre-COVID, it's the $3 to $6 million contracts. Get too many of those on a team, or three to $5.9 million, however you want to say it. That you get too many of those guys on the team making that kind of coin, you can really screw up your chances because your high-end talent isn't there. You can always load a team with mid to low-level talent. You can always find that. It's the high-level talent that is impossible to find, which is why the Leafs have been so hardcore about keeping the big four together. Now, you look at the Leafs lineup right now. On forward, there is one guy that makes between that range that I just mentioned, and it's Alexander Kerfoot, who is a useful player.
I keep saying asterisk for centers. You can't have a guy making that much on your third or fourth line unless he's a center.
So it's funny. A lot of the projections don't have him at center.
Yeah, he's playing with Thornton, right? And he's on
Joe
Thornton's wings.
I saw Dave Poulin suggest that, and I don't hate it. I don't. But I would really like the Leafs to experiment at the beginning of whatever the season is, rather than during a playoff round.
Yeah, when they're trying to throw everything at the wall just to get through the first round, or into the first round in this case.
Play Willy at center, so that you can stack the first line with Matthews, Tavares, Marner. That's ridiculous. Of course. Yeah, of course, try that. Play Kerfoot on the wing with Joe Thornton and who cares? That's so fun. There are options. This team's got versatility, and basically 2 centers on every line, pretty much. Like Matthews, Hyman, Marner doesn't really count. Hyman, I think, played center in university, Marner in junior, but that doesn't count. And then you get Tavares, Nylander. And then you got...
We shouldn't count Nylander as a center, to be honest.
No. You know what?
Especially after seeing it happen in a playoff series.
In one. No, don't say series.
Oh, in a game. Sorry.
It was in one game.
I meant game.
This is a problem that goes back to Babcock, man. Like he was in it to win games, and he won games. He put Nylander in the best position to succeed in the moment. But long term, would it have been better to develop this guy as a center? That's what they were doing in the minors. That's what they were doing in the AHL, and they call him up, and all of a sudden, again, the disconnect. So, Sheldon Keefe had him as a center, but this is way back in 2016 when he was 19 or 20 years old. Does he still feel the same way? I don't know, but it's just another, add it to the list of things that I don't think one part of the organization agreed with regarding the other.
What I like about what this Leafs team does look like is there's when they lost Jake Muzzin in the playoffs or in the play-ins, it's not the playoffs, last year, it definitely...
They should have won.
Well, they didn't, so...
I know. No, I know. And Tampa would have killed them.
Tampa would have killed them, yeah. But Muzzin being out really, really was... I think it was a huge turning point for the Leafs this year. And it just seems like with both forward and it may again not be the most talented defense group in the league, but I don't mind Muzzin, Riley, Brody. I don't mind that at all. And we'll see what Mikko Lehtinen turns into. We'll see what Justin Hall can be. Zach Bogosian, how much he's got left in the tank. But on both ends, it seems like they've got the depth that they're looking for. It's just a matter of which piece are you going to subtract to get cap compliant. And I wonder if this isn't something you just wait till training camp for. Because it doesn't count until game 1. Yep. So you can, I don't know if you can't buy anybody out, but you can throw people on waivers. You can, work out trades. You can, whatever it is you need to do, you can do. And you can trade guys or bury guys. Jimmy Vesey is a buriable contract. You can bury $925,000 of Pierre Engvall's contract. You can obviously send Nick Robertson down. Liljegren and Sandin are guys that can go down. So there's lots of options.
I don't even know if Joey Anderson would have to clear waivers.
I don't know either. I'm not sure how it works.
I don't think he would.
If he signs a 2-way deal, even then sometimes you have to. I don't know. I don't really know what that will be. The reality is they have a little too much, and that's probably a good thing. Like I can't see a downside of that other than being cap compliant. And frankly, they have a magician behind the scenes with cap compliance. So you have to think they have a plan.
And Joey Anderson is waivers exempt.
He is
awesome.
CapFriendly, so there you go.
That's probably why they got him.
You know who's still on the Leafs depth chart?
Who?
Nick Patan.
He's there. He's still a Leaf?
Yeah, man. That guy's they gotta trade him.
Also,
poor guy.
Dennis
They gotta give him to someone.
Dennis Morgan's is somebody we never bring up.
He's another guy. Apparently, I can't remember. He's someone within their organization that's like his guy. And there's another guy who center, but I don't know how much center he's played. Really, I don't think he played any with the Leafs. And another guy who friggin' played on Tavares' wing. I don't care how injured you are. You can't let that happen. You can't. That is a buoy.
By the way,
listen, he can be in your lineup. He's not in your lineup buoy. He is if he's playing with your captain buoy.
I'm fairly sure if CapFriendly is to be believed that the compliance buyout that the Leafs used on Mikhail Grabovski after the last lockout is now finally expiring after this season.
Wow. First of
Now,
all,
they don't
if
owe
they are
money
to
on
be
it.
believed, Adam,
2021. So, and Phil Kessel, 2 more years retaining that salary at $1.2 million.
CapFriendly just hurt my feelings, by the way. I texted them about the Engvall thing, and I saw ... come up, and I'm like, oh, here comes my answer. And then it went away.
Whoa.
No, I assume they thought they had the answer, and then they're going back to check it. That's what
I
I'm
sure
gonna
hope so.
My heart.
I hope I wasn't left on red.
Yeah.
But he has a man of distinction. He has red receipts turned off. So I respect it. I respect it.
I'd love to get an answer on that because they sent down Engvall on the 24th for paper and then brought him back up. That's February during the season, so he could be eligible for the AHL playoffs. So I don't know if that means that you can just sneak him back down whenever you want during the offseason just to be cap compliant, or if because they never announced it. So I'd love to know officially what the hell's going on there.
Me too. That's I don't know. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. I always love the post free agency locks conversations we have. It's like, well, now everybody's got to get cap compliant, so let's get into the math. Like, it's just,
Oh my God.
this is why we go down to 1 episode a week. And also we're gonna
yeah.
have a bunch of interviews and stuff, so we're excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
We're also giant nerds talking about this.
yeah.
Super,
Also, when we get it
super
all
hard.
wrong anyway, so the bigger gigantic nerds come out on Twitter.
Yeah.
I see you. And they correct it, which I'm cool with because I learned something.
And you know what's coming back? Even though the podcasts are going down to 1 a week, trade trees are coming back, my friends.
Oh, okay. Yo,
Sensation.
Can we get a little teaser on that? What are we looking at this year, my friend?
Yes, we are doing, here's a teaser. We are doing a trade tree that both begins and ends with a trade between the Ottawa Senators and Pittsburgh Penguins. And it is one that I believe Adam Wild will be very passionate about.
Interesting. Okay.
We have one that involves 2 blue and orange teams. And we have several coming up because for the first time, we're actually going to interview someone for our trade trees.
That's cool. Now, is it a person who was traded or a person who made the trade?
Person who made the trade, and I'm sure you can guess who. I'm sure you can guess who.
Very exciting.
Works at Sportsnet. He's got a book coming out. Yeah. So I'm going to be interviewing Brian Burke. I'll just say it. I'll be talking to Brian Burke for several Trade Trees videos. So we're going to take a look into the ghosts of Leafs past, and then
Cool.
I don't know. We're kind of making it up on the fly beyond.
That's really cool.
Very
That you're
cool.
the guy
I'm
who
jacked.
made the trade in the trade tree. That's awesome.
I'm pretty jacked.
How-
I'm pretty excited.
How long in your interview with Brian Burke before he brings up the Sedins? Like, what do we cap that at? By the way, if we ever get to have him on this show, and I hope we do, because I know he's got a book out and Kipper's got a book out, so we're going to try to take advantage of them doing press and bring him on. We're going to try. I'm going to say that to Brian and be like, how long before you bring up the Sedins today?
He's not Doug McLean. I drafted Rick Nash. He's not contractually obligated to say that.
Do you know that he must be in on the joke because he was doing on Sportsnet Central the other day. He was doing an interview with I think Carly Agro, and she had him on for, I forget what the segment was about, but I think had to do with some free agency moves and then a little bit about his book. And of course, doesn't he have a framed photo of both Sedin jerseys in the background autographed?
Love it.
Of course.
Love it.
Absolutely love it.
And Steve, a little bit of trivia. Who was the player he had to trade to get the other pick to draft both brothers?
Oh, Brian McCabe?
Brian McCabe.
Hey!
Former Vancouver Canuck.
Well
Brian
done.
McCabe.
Yes. He had a career. Oh,
He had a great career. What?
All right.
CapFriendly got back to me.
Oh,
my
all right. What did they say?
Oh, it's extremely long. Should we pause? I don't know.
Can you read it?
I don't know. Let's try. Okay. Hey, Steve. So we've been, nope. My phone thought I said, hey, Siri. I did not. Hey, Steve. So we've been trying to figure out what the Leafs are doing with all these signings and what the roster might look like. In addition, I've spoken to several people who seriously believe that the Leafs will start the season with 20 guys, maybe 21, in order to be cap compliant on day one, as well as allow the team to accrue cap space for the first few months, with the goal of banking enough to add if there's an injury or possibly at the deadline. All that seems to suggest that Engvall will be one of the odd men out, which is also something that others have shared with me. But at the end of the day, it's all just a guess until we get closer to a new season.
Well, that'll be interesting.
Yes, it will be.
By the way, breaking news as of 20 minutes ago, Oilers have signed defenseman Kris Russell to a 1-year extension. According to Jason Greger, he said he's hearing between $1 and $1.5 million and a no movement clause.
That's what everyone's getting, eh? I guess, okay, so...
It does ensure that the Oilers have a D-man eligible to be exposed in the expansion draft, and Russell knows he's either going to be in Edmonton or Seattle.
So...
I don't hate it.
Oilers, I mean, well, not Oilers, sorry. Players know... They have no leverage, basically. They can't be like, yeah, well... I demand X amount, like good hockey players are just, teams are just going, yeah, okay, bye. But because they can't do anything, the financial realities, the cap realities. So the only thing the players have is, okay, give me a no move or a no trade. That's the only thing they've got. That's why you're seeing everybody. How many signings over $1 million have gotten some form of no trade or no move? I'm going to go with it's over half of the ones that we've seen. It sure feels like it, doesn't it? It's all they got. It's all they got. They're all leaving money on the table. All of them. Even Pietrangelo, who is making 8.8. They're all leaving money on the table. Man.
It's a wild time. It's a wild time. Now, let's get into it. So the Oilers will keep Kris Russell for one more year or not. We should mention the NWHL's Toronto Six have named their first head coach, and that's Digit Murphy, who was already a part of the organization in the president's role.
I love that.
Very, very exciting. I believe Digit was a coach in the CWHL as well.
So we've actually spoken to Digit on the phone, or have you guys?
You have. We have not.
I have.
Yep.
Man,
we've emailed back and forth. We're very excited.
My coffee was still in the process of kicking in, and it's very obvious the Digit is someone with just Red Bull blood. I was like, I can't keep up with you. She's awesome. I would like to have her on the show.
Yeah, we're going to line that up. I think
we'll make that happen.
Very exciting, and obviously, I don't know what their season looked like. They haven't actually mentioned that yet, or haven't announced that yet. But I don't think anyone knows. Right?
No one's got a season, man. There's the World Juniors, but that's a tournament, and it'll be in a bubble. It's easier anyway to do a tournament. A season, it's another beast.
I have to ask you something. And we sort of touched on this with Chris Johnston and Eric Engels. How do the Winnipeg Jets trade Patrik Laine and get better?
They don't.
So then why do it? Like, how is it possible that you cannot repair this relationship? How is that possible?
No.
What could have happened that you cannot repair? Because here's the thing. We all know the Teemu Selanne comparison is coming. And we all know Patrik Laine is here. Well, as soon as he's traded, the circle completes. This is the
second he scored a hat trick against the Leafs in 2016, Adam.
Yeah,
that's when the comparison happened.
But what I'm saying is that, like, him leaving town, right? This is a legitimate star. I know Mark Scheifele is a star as well. I know Blake Wheeler's a very good hockey player. I know they've got,
Kyle Connor
won the Vezina. He's a great goalie, deserved the heart in my opinion. But I have to tell you, I just don't see if you're getting because they were the rumor is, and I was watching a video on TSN with it was Pierre Lebrun, and he was talking about the Flyers are sort of interested, and does it take Myers or Sandheim and a package built around them? And I'm thinking nothing against Sandheim, he's a great player, but like when you look back through the annals of Jets history, is Travis Sandheim going to be the guy plus that you're going to get, that you're going to want for Patrik Laine?
And then
Kevin Cheveldayoff's made good trades in the past. There's no question about that. But I don't know how this benefits the team to not have him there. Can you not? I mean, he had a great relationship with Paul Stastny, The last time Stastny was in town, can they not try to make that work for the first 20 games first and then maybe deal him at the trade deadline if they have to? Like, I would hang on for one more year, no matter how miserable it makes both sides.
I mean, okay, let's say he's difficult, which I am more than willing to believe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say he's a difficult personality to manage. He's 22. Like, at what point is it a little bit your fault that, you know, you're having this difficulty with the 22-year-old who you have difficulty with? You know what I mean?
Are we blaming the organization here?
At some point, they got to listen. You cannot. There have been trade rumors since his second season, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's part of the reason he apparently wants out. It's not that he wanted out to begin with. It's that he's been involved in so many trade rumors that he's like, are we committing to this or not? Because
It's
fans
not like the Jets
adore
suck.
this man. Adore him.
The Jets have been good while he's been there. Jets have been good. So what's the problem? The problem is there's obviously a wear and tear emotionally. In terms of on the ice, what's the matter? I'm seeing evolution in him as a player. He's a little bit better defensively. He's a better playmaker than we've seen. He's still got the goal-scoring touch. You put him with the right fit. Oh, gross. If I was him, I don't know. I don't know why he would necessarily be stuck on the idea of playing with Mark Scheifele, because
he wants to play top power play minutes and he wants to play with the best center on the team. And if this is a guy that could score 50 goals, well, forgive me for this. And
Scheifele shoots it though.
Scheifele does shoot.
Jets have shooters. If I'm line 8, no, I want to be the one who shoots. I'm the trigger man.
Then Stastny's your guy.
Yes, I think you let Scheifele, Kyle Connor, fine. They can go play together. But dude, as long as I'm the one who shoots, I am the one who shoots. I have the touch of God. I have the Midas touch shot. When Laine shoots it, it's terrifying. It always has a chance to go in. I don't understand why he's stuck on playing with Scheifele. And again, like, even if the blame is like 70-30 for Laine, like, this guy is just a difficult pain in the ass. He's such a talent that you gotta fix that. You have such a hard time bringing talent to Winnipeg. Why are you going to get rid of this guy? Can't be that bad.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one as well. I don't see how they win. I don't see how this goes well.
Also, the ask. We want a second line center
and a top 4 defenseman.
And a top 4 defenseman. Like, the Matthews comparison is over. No. Yeah, I think the Leafs need to get a second line center and a top 4 D for Matthews. What the? No, they're not the same. There are levels, and they're not on the same one. But I don't understand. I don't understand why this isn't fixable. I don't.
I'm not sure either. I'm having a tough time with it, but
I don't get it.
I hope that they start to see. I hope that they come together, because you know what would suck? It really blows for the city of Winnipeg. It really does. And this is he's the fan favorite there. He's one of the, like, all the kids have Laine jerseys. Keep the guy in town. Keep him there. Figure it out. Make it work. Because you can, in the case of the Leafs, like, you can have 2 top lines. Like, people forget, Mitch Marner had close to 100 points and Matthews had close to 50 goals. Had he not been injured, he would have, a couple of seasons ago, played on different lines.
Well, and they wanted to play together forever.
Yeah, and Babs wouldn't let him.
And to Babs' credit, almost, hey man, I want to play with this guy. Yeah, well, no. And that was the end of it. You know what I mean? Okay, well, yeah, maybe power play, I guess. Because I think it's a good idea, not because you do. So Laine should not be calling the shots. I agree with that, but that's not. I just feel like that's not a deal breaker on his part. I don't understand why playing with Scheifele would be a deal breaker. There's something.
Well, I think it comes down to ice time and who's feeding him the puck. And
yes, you are right, Adam. But whenever the conversation becomes this absurd, it's something that we don't know.
Right. Okay.
So what is it that we don't know? And people are automatically going to go video games. No, I said don't know. We've all heard that one.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Mike Hoffman perennial 30 goal scorer. Over the last 6 years, this guy has averaged 28 goals a year. 6 years,
really?
He's averaged 28 goals a year, still a free agent. The NHL is in such a tight spot that a 30 goal scorer does not have a contract yet. Now, according to his agent, there are 5 or 6 very interested parties.
Well, the agent's gonna say that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Mike Hoffman, obviously, there was some stuff in Ottawa, but quiet year in Florida, doing great. Like nothing. Haven't heard a thing. Not a peep. I'm wondering if Mike Hoffman waited too long. We knew somebody was going to be the odd man out when the musical chairs stopped. Is Mike Hoffman going to, not that he's not going to get a contract, he will get a contract, but is it going to be a 1-year deal? And is it going to be at less money than he wants?
Are you on the market still? You waited too long.
You waited too long.
Hoffman, Duclair. Isn't Hamonic still on there?
Yes, he is.
Trevor Daley, Corey Schneider, Mikael Granlund.
With respect to Trevor Daley, he is ancient by NHL terms. Like that guy.
I thought Schneider signed with Islanders.
No, Corey Schneider is a UFA.
I thought he signed with the Islanders too.
It says here on CapFriendly, unsigned goaltender.
Maybe that never was finalized. Maybe they did a physical.
Man, I feel like with all the guests, we didn't talk about how that trade is frigging rough. The Islanders losing Devon Taves.
Yeah, that sucks.
The Avalanche, the frigging Avalanche. Are you joking me? This team.
And Joe Sakic is a great defenseman.
Bangers. And they lose Zadorov and they replace him with Devon Taves. So they replace a guy with horrible possession numbers with a guy who just his team is always with an advantage when he's on the ice.
And they get Brandon Saad too, who as much as I think he was a part of the worst trade in NHL history, that's not his fault. The guy's still a good player. He just makes a little too much money, or at least for my blood, for what he brings. But that's a guy that's a warrior. He's won a cup, and he got Sakic got the Hawks to retain $1 million each year for the remainder of his contract. So it's a brilliant move. It's brilliant. So the
Blackhawks are doing their favorite thing, which is paying Brandon Saad.
Yes, they are. We'll talk about the Hawks in just a second, but let me add to the Islanders. Good. I've got a list of the top RFAs still available, and like I said, deals like Mike Hoffman and Travis Hamonic and these other guys that are still available are being held up by two things. There's arbitration, and then there's just RFAs themselves. Barzal and the Islanders have not come to a deal yet. On March 21st, Lou Lamoriello sent a message to any GM thinking of floating an offer sheet Barzal's way. He said, "It is not our intention to allow it to get to that point, but should that happen, the answer is yes, they would match."
Please actually try to offer sheet. It's nothing against the Islanders. Just try to offer sheet someone from Lou Lamoriello's team. I think it's very funny.
Per Empire Sports, Lamoriello is looking to lock up Barzal in the neighborhood of $7.5 million a season. Barzal's camp naturally would like a higher figure. If he were to sign an offer sheet of $10.9 million or more, the compensation of the Islanders would be 4 first-round picks. Highly unlikely. I don't know. Like, what team could actually even afford to do that at this point?
I have very bad news for anyone cheering against the Islanders here, and I have very bad news for Matt Barzal. Lou's winning this one.
Yeah, he is.
Where are you going? Like, who has the picks? Who has the cap space? Who has the money? You're lucky he's offering you that much. Apparently, that's more than I thought.
Rangers have $10 million.
Not bad.
Yeah, but there's something.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Who are their RFAs? Just totally.
Let me find out.
They signed D'Angelo, I think.
Yeah. Strome and Lemieux, Brendan Lemieux and Ryan Strome, and Ryan Lindgren, and Igor Shesterkin still needs a contract.
That's about $10 million.
They're screwed. They're screwed maybe next year or something like that because they have even more RFAs. But like, if you have a chance to get Matt Barzal, you move someone.
Yeah.
But just looking what was the compensation, Adam?
Well, if it's $10.9 million or over, it's 4 first-round picks. And I obviously we know that probably isn't going to happen. But I love the idea of the New York Rangers swooping in and eating the Islanders' lunch. And it doesn't matter. Like, you could, like, if you're the Rangers at this point, you've got Lafreniere, you got Panarin, you've got two great young goaltenders. Yeah. You've moved on from Henrik Lundqvist. Why wouldn't you? Why not? So
why not?
Either way, the Islanders are either right up against the cap or over it, signing Barzal, or you've got a good team with Matt Barzal on it. And yeah, you gave up your first round picks, but this is a good New York Rangers team now. Like it does, at this point, it's sort of like, what are you going to do with those first round picks? Maybe draft a Matt Barzal 20th, 30th overall. Like this is a New York Rangers team that over the next 4 years is going to be in the playoffs every year. This is how good this team is. How are you going to get another shot at a Matt Barzal? And draft him and have him ready in the window that you are opening right now. The Rangers are going to be in the playoffs, guys.
Barzal with Kreider, Barzal with Panarin, playing behind or ahead of Zibanejad. And man, that's pretty good.
Imagine this. New York versus New York. Barzal's wearing a Rangers jersey. You
thought Tavares got booed? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. Adam, you brought up something that I hadn't even thought of.
What's that?
The idea of Barzal signing an offer sheet and going to the Rangers. And I have never thought about it until this very moment. And all of a sudden, I need it more than I need to breathe.
And you know what?
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Another team
close.
If I were now, a lot of these teams are probably struggling a little bit with just cap issues, but like even the Buffalo Sabres, like assuming you could get the Pagulas on board, they got $13 million in cap space next year. Eichel, Barzal,
your first. Buffalo, do not.
Yeah, don't trade your first. Okay, what if you're Nashville and you trade all your firsts anyway, and you need you've lost Turris, which you wanted to. You've got the cap space. You probably do have an internal budget, but Matt Barzal, and you got Johansson, but Barzal is instantly your number one center. Like that solves the problem. Oh, yeah. Duchesne is number 2, Johansson's number 3. That's pretty good.
Matt Barzal is out there. If you really want to do that, you're mentioning these teams, but the list of UFAs that I was just looking at, is that not more intriguing than spending the money on Matt Barzal? Is it not?
Well, who do you have that's a center?
A center?
Yeah,
the best center is tough. Up the middle's tough.
Up the middle is tough. But would you rather not spend it on a couple wingers?
Like the top center that's maybe available is Sam Reinhart.
Right.
Is he?
He had 50 points last year. Don't sleep on Sam Reinhart.
Is he RFA or UFA? Couldn't be UFA.
Oh, he's RFA. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
But a guy even
Buffalo's not that irresponsible. Jesus.
Yeah. Derek Brassard, Carl Soderberg.
Soderberg's interesting.
Eric Halla. Galchenyuk.
Halla's interesting.
Yeah, they're interesting. But you are okay. So you have the chance to have a guy that's your franchise center for the next 10 years, or you can sign Eric Halla. I'm trading the 4 first-round picks. I'm doing it. And I'll tell you why. You will not get, especially, to me, the Rangers are perfect for this. Nashville might be if Pekka Rinne has a good year. If you got the opportunity to get a number 1 center for just 4 first-round picks, then use the next offseason to sign your Eric Hallas and your Derek Brassards to build around him.
You don't have the money. You could it all away.
No, but Jesse, have you considered fun?
That's the thing.
If you're anti-Adam's idea, you're anti-fun.
And Steve, what do you always say about the Magic Box? Well, do I have the great player who's already great? Or do I have this player? I might even draft a player as good as the player that I already have.
Yeah, I think that was Family Guy, not me. But yeah.
But all the same.
Yeah.
It's that same. You might even draft a Matt Barzal in there. Rangers, go for it. I would. At the very least, you're screwing the Islanders.
It'd be great for the beginning and end of Lou Lamoriello's career to be a massive offer sheet. I just love the idea of that.
Be very interesting. Very, very interesting. By the way, Sammy Vatanen's still available. Wow.
Is he?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, very, very
I remember a time when the St. Louis Rams traded every single draft pick they ever had to acquire the first overall pick in 2016 to draft Jared Stupid Goff. And that bit them in the ass because they.
Well, he had that one good year where they go to the second. No, they went to the
Super Bowl.
They did go to the Super Bowl.
You can't remember. It couldn't be that good.
They lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, which
was it
everyone did.
3 years ago now, I think. So they got that out of it. I don't think you ever win a trade where you trade your entire future franchise for one dude.
But I think the Rangers have a stocked system. Young goalies, Artemi Panarin, a great defense. Chris Kreider's locked up, although it's a little bit of an expensive deal, but he's a mean SOB to play against. The Rangers, honestly, how do you not put the Rangers in the top 3 in the East with Matt Barzal?
Well, yeah, but then going forward,
then what else are you doing? You're giving yourself a shot every year. Every year, for the next 3 or 4 years, you are number 3 minimum in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, but
tell me you don't do that.
What happens when they have to re-sign a player?
Who cares? That's 3 years. That's 3 years from now's problem.
We got no money because Matt Barzal took it all. We got no draft picks because Matt Barzal.
Well, it's okay. So
screwed as a team because Matt Barzal.
I don't think so.
You're an enemy of fun.
I am, because I'm being realistic. I'm trying to think about how NHL GMs think, and NHL GMs are anti-fun.
Oh, no, you're right. But
your green hair lies. Your green hair says fun, and it turns out you're anti-fun. By the way, it wasn't until after the show, everybody, that I noticed that your hair was green. I thought it was a light.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like a green screen reflecting off me.
Was it Engvall? Was someone at the end of last show was like, is your hair green?
Engvall did, yeah. That was after I think we stopped recording.
I'm so stupid. I thought it was like a light.
Let's not distract from Matt Barzal not trading to the Rangers here.
Yeah, but
Matt Barzal dyed his hair green?
Can we talk about the fact that the Rangers signed Jack Johnson when they didn't have to, and they didn't sign him for league minimum?
Oh, I forgot about that.
That was weird.
Which means there are other suitors for Jack Johnson. That's crazy.
Well, Adam, did you know, anytime you have the opportunity to buy out Jack Johnson and then sign Cody Ceci, you got to do it.
They just did the same thing. Now, we haven't talked about that. They just got the same guy.
No. Cody Ceci is better than Jack Johnson. Let me say that.
Okay.
I agree.
And he's cheaper. But answer me this. What does Jim Rutherford think is a good defenseman? Like, I want to know. But what does Jim Rutherford think is a good hockey player? I know the guy built a team that won back-to-back cups in 2016 and 17. But after the past 3 seasons,
it's like he's been looking for Ron Hainsey over and over and over again.
I do not know I do not know what attributes he thinks makes you good at this. I don't know. I don't get, and by the way, as long as we're talking about guys who are still available, Justin Schultz, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Out there.
So you're going to lose him. I don't understand what he thinks makes you good at this. Do you, Penguins fans? Like, do you? What makes you a great Penguin? Like, what makes you? Yeah, we got this guy, and he's gonna help us out because of X, Y, and Z. What is X? What is Y? What is Z? I don't get it, man. Listen, CC is probably not as bad as we've discussed, but he ain't good.
Well, the thing is, you got to look at it with Cody Ceci. Yes, he's cheaper, but add the buyout cost of Jack Johnson on top of Cody Ceci's salary, and that's the real cost of acquiring Cody Ceci. Now, you had to buy out Jack Johnson. You had to, but because you somehow signed him to a 5-year contract, which is
Did you not? You can't send him down, right? That's
not at $3 million. It wouldn't be worth it.
I know.
But
yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it was just a bad signing. It was a bad signing from minute one. Nobody understood why he did it, and everybody criticized it except he was like, "No, it's good. It's good."
Here's.
He also, by the way, had Jack Johnson, Eric Goodbranson, and now Cody Ceci in the span of 18 months.
Jeez.
So what? To Steve's point, what does Jim Rutherford think is a good defenseman?
Hey, and Malkin and Crosby.
True.
Let's not.
You know what?
Let's not forget that.
Well, I'm like, well, he likes a big guy in front of the net who will move you. That's Goodbranson. That's not CC. That's not CC. Like
CC's not a net front guy.
He's
not a guy. Like he's not even a guy. I don't. We watched him play.
He had better.
Watched him play.
His offensive numbers were, his underlying offensive numbers, I should say, were surprisingly decent.
because of who he played with.
Andrew Berkshire, that's probably true.
He played with Morgan Rielly, and then on the forward line, he had either Tavares or Matthews or Nylander or Marner or Mikheyev or Hyman. Every shift because he was playing top line D minutes.
So here's a tweet from Sabermetrics. It's a tweet about the Buffalo Sabres, but there's a cameo, folks. 57 NHL defensemen have played at least 3,600 minutes over the past 3 seasons. Among them, Rasmus Ristolainen is 56th out of 57 in XGF percentage. So that's goals for percentage at 46.1. And Brandon Montour is 55th out of 57. So Buffalo's got 56 and 55 out of 57. The only defenseman with a worse XGF in that time frame is Cody Ceci at 45.8. Meaning that
who's number one?
I don't know. It's not in the tweet.
Oh, I'd like to know that just to compare like what 48 means in comparison to the best guy.
Basically, over the past 3 seasons, in terms of expected goals for, there's no defenseman who plays as much as he plays who you can expect to get scored on as much. Dude, he was like, listen, he tries hard. There was I remember a great play in the what was it? It was the Leafs game in Colorado. They're second under Sheldon Keefe. Tyson Barrie scores. They get a 4-1 lead after the first period. They're riding high. Then the Avs score 2, and Nathan McKinnon has a point-blank chance in the final minute. Cody Ceci gets into the butterfly and saves it. Like, he's a good teammate. When he got hurt, the Leafs suffered. Everyone was like, oh, just you watch. This is addition by subtraction. And it wasn't. But he ain't good. I'm sorry. He ain't good.
Other RFAs still available. Anthony Cirelli in Tampa Bay.
How about everyone in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, everyone in Tampa Bay. Pierre-Luc Dubois in Columbus. Sam Reinhart, as I mentioned, in Buffalo. Mikhail Sergachev in Tampa. Ryan Pulock with the Islanders. Mackenzie Blackwood in New Jersey. Tyler Bertuzzi in Detroit. Jake DeBrusk in Boston. I'm going to keep going. Ryan Strome in New York. Anthony Mantha in Detroit. Connor Brown in Ottawa. By the way, Connor Brown looks like he's going to get paid something in the neighborhood of $3.5 to $4 million over 4 years, which is crazy.
Dude is asking for 4.8.
Yeah, now that's arbitration, so he's gonna shoot high. But he is a top line winger on the Senators, man. Mm-hmm. So, and he has scored. He scored well. Tays obviously
need hockey players.
Tays the defenseman with the Avalanche still hasn't signed yet, but he is a great defenseman. Denis Gurianov with Dallas. Also needs a new deal, and the often mentioned in Toronto circles, Mackenzie Weegar. Vince Dunn also hasn't signed in St. Louis either, and they're $1.5 million over the books already.
Still?
Yeah.
Yo, that Falk deal, dude.
I don't know why they did that deal. I don't get why they did that deal. They had Pietrangelo. They could have had Dunn and Pietrangelo. And
how far over the cap are they?
1.5.
Yeah, so without COVID, you're cap compliant, but COVID happened, so is what it is.
Man,
well,
to me, I feel like that Scandella deal's got to move. As much as they might like him, I think he's got to move. You know, it's sort of like, do you want Vince Dunn or not? You made your bed with Justin Falk. You signed Torrey Krug. So
who's the best player who is just not going to have a team this year just because he can't? Or like, do you remember way back in the day, and this very rarely happens now. Remember way back in the day, one of the Leafs deadline acquisitions, I want to say in 2004, was it Calle Johansson or Andreas Johansson?
I think it was Calle.
Yeah, who they were just like, they just signed him.
Yeah.
Like maybe this year, teams' acquisitions, or for some teams are going to acquire guys who they just, hey, you've been riding the bike this whole time, right? Yep. Okay. So, right before the deadline, they sign them because it's the only way to fit them.
Yep. That may just happen. And in fact, with the players still available, you probably could make it a whole pretty good NHL team between the RFAs and UFAs.
Oh my God. You can make a decent team. You could beat last year's Detroit team with the free agents now.
Handily.
Who's your goalie?
I'll tell Corey Schneider.
Ooh, let's do this. No, this will take too long, but no, this is a good idea.
I mean, you'd have a pretty good team if you include RFAs. You've got a pretty awesome team.
Yeah, well, the RFAs you have like I think you need
to include RFAs. I think you need to.
I think
there's going to be RFAs that sit the season, guys.
Your number one defenseman is Zdeno Chara. Like, you're good. You're a good team.
By the way, Boston still hasn't signed Chara.
I think he's retiring.
Yeah.
Why hasn't he announced it yet?
Why doesn't he just come to the Leafs?
Your three goalies on the free agent team. You're going Corey Schneider, Craig Anderson, and Jimmy Howard.
I don't hate Craig Anderson. I'd start Craig Anderson.
Or Mike Condon, if you really want Mike Condon.
Okay, I changed my mind. This team sucks.
See, you need the RFA. You need the RFA. You need the RFA so you can have Shesterkin. That's what you need.
I would literally rather get a guy from the KHL, I think, than any of those.
Ryan Miller? Ryan Miller's
Ryan Miller's their starter.
Is Ryan Miller the starter? Okay.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. That's good. Steve had to stretch because his back, as you mentioned earlier, is terrible.
Listen, I'm just listening to medical advice. We should all take from that example of mine, listening to medical professionals.
Yeah, definitely 15 years later, for sure. Definitely do that.
Son of a gun. All right, Adam. All right. Okay.
Yo, if I can make Jesse laugh, I feel like I've accomplished something.
I know. I always want to Costanza it and just walk off.
Yeah, right. It's sort of it's a big thing. It's sort of a friendly competition we have on the morning show too. It's like if we make Jesse laugh, we feel like it was a good break. A message to Blackhawk fans. We recently said goodbye to a pair of popular two-time champions and acquired some new players via trade and free agency. We understand it was tough to see those respected veterans go and realize you may have some questions about our direction. We'd like to address that direction and share why we're hopeful for the future of Blackhawks hockey. Well, I sure hope so. We're committed to developing young players and rebuilding our roster. Rebuilding our roster. We want more than another window to win. We want to reach the summit again and stay there. An effort that will require a stockpile of emerging talent to complement our top players. The influx of youth and progression will provide roster flexibility and depth throughout the lineup. We were already the youngest team in the 2020 playoffs. Okay, well, okay.
It's a bit of a stretch there.
Yeah, I mean, they did make it, but okay.
Come on, sure.
But we were already the youngest team in the 2020 playoffs, and several Blackhawks experienced that intensity for the first time. This will help to further develop and establish a culture that embraces the grind of improvement, driven by competitors who are relentless, engaged, and motivated by a team-first mentality to win. As our young players develop and learn how to win consistently, they'll make some mistakes. Inevitably, we'll miss the mark sometimes too, but we'll communicate openly with you on this journey together. We know that what comes next must be more than just words, and that inspires us. That is a open letter from the Blackhawks to their fans. And what happens, guys, as a team that has seen this before, what usually is on the way when a franchise has to write an open letter to its angry fan base?
A big old bunch of losing. Man, you could use that statement to help you get your shoes on. We had guys who played in the playoffs for the first time. Listen, you are not the Rangers. They did this properly. They pulled the chute on a team that was
in the playoffs.
Time in a playoff spot, probably going to make the playoffs or maybe going to make the playoffs. This statement came out because Jonathan Toews forced it. Your captain forced it because he was kept in the dark. Chris Johnson was on here talking about, because when I made the suggestion, maybe trade Duncan Keith, trade Patrik Laine, trade Jonathan Toews. If you can. I mean, if you can't fit Matt Barzal, you can't fit any of those guys. But he talked about the idea of them staying Blackhawks forever just because of what they mean to the team. But what happens when the relationship is damaged, like we talk about? Who is a Stan Bowman fan? Can anyone answer that?
Scotty,
but seriously, can anyone answer? The Chicago Blackhawks fans have been complaining about this guy for years. And now it's your captain. Like, I don't think he ever mentioned Stan by name. But like, if you say, I guess we're rebuilding, that is directly aimed at the brain of your general manager. That's taking aim at your boss.
Let's not also forget that Joel Quenneville and him hated each other for the entire tenure they were together.
Yes.
And by the way, the team hasn't gotten any better since that change was made. No disrespect to Jeremy Colleton, but I don't think the coaching was the problem, and I think we all know that. And we knew it at the time.
I think this is a perfect time to be like, thanks for all you've done. This guy won 3 cups with us, but as an organization, this could have gone with the statement. As an organization, we're moving in another direction, and we thank Stan for whatever he's done with the organization. And then it's over. Like, I don't know. Can he rebuild this? Maybe. They got some interesting young pieces coming up, but it doesn't sound like the Chicago Blackhawks are happy about the Chicago Blackhawks. That's a bad place for a GM to be in. In terms of guys who never get fired when they're supposed to, generally speaking, GMs.
Stan Bowman is going to stick around, though, because if he was going to be let go, he would have been let go. So here's the question.
He'll be the GM this season.
In the next year or so, I think he's going to be the GM going forward. I think he's got a good relationship with ownership.
That's forward, bad news.
Because it's family owned, right? The Wirtz family still owns it. I wonder, do you keep Kane and Taves? If you're rebuilding, are you rebuilding around them who are going to be in their 30s? Well, they're in their 30s.
I just feel like with them, you'll never actually be bad enough to, be in the lottery contention that you need to be in.
It's the Malkin Crosby thing. As long as you got them, you got to go for it.
Yeah. Then there's what Eric Engels was talking about, which is you can't get rid of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get rid of everybody in completely scorched earth. And if you do, you got to do it a very specific way. But the Buffalo Sabres, 2015 was disgraceful. Like, they traded down, and then the guys they got from trading down, they traded. Like, it was unbelievable what they did, and they picked nothing with a lot of those picks. They had like 4 seconds one year, and I don't know if any of them played in the NHL for more than 200 games.
Kane and Taves are 31 and 32. By the way, their deals are up, both of them, in 3 seasons. They got 3 more years.
Wow.
So that's a lot of dough. That's a lot of money to be moving around. And they're still, I would say, tail prime.
Well, Kane's still a star.
Yeah, like maybe they're on their way down.
Yep. I mean, Taves played amazing in the playoffs. You got to be encouraged by that.
You can keep those two if you like them in your organization so much, and the veteran presence. You know who makes a lot of sense to move? Duncan Keith.
$5 million.
You got to have a long conversation with that guy, and you got to say, do you want to win?
Like, here's the thing.
Do you want to win, or you want to stay here?
Patrick Kane was going to score 100 points this year. He had 110 last year, and he was in 70 games.
They were going to finish 23rd.
Yeah. Patrick Kane was going to have and Jonathan Taves had a huge comeback. Like, really,
he's unreal in the playoffs.
Oh, he was unbelievable in the playoffs, but he's been better the last couple of years, because it did look a little like he was falling off there for a minute. But, 60 points in 70 games, 81 and 82 last year, 35 goals, 46 assists. I mean, that's not a bad guy to build around. No. I just wonder when the window opens for them again in 24 to 36 months. Are those guys, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. Those guys will come off the books. Do you keep those guys around to teach the young guys, which you didn't have in Buffalo? Or do you say, thanks so much, we're trying to find a home for you so you can try to win again?
Oh, and I keep forgetting about this. So, hey, Duncan. For the next 3 years, do you, in your late 30s up until you're 40, do you want to be taxed with being our number one defenseman with less than $2 million worth of goalie behind you? Their goaltending for the next 2 seasons is Malcolm Subban with $850,000 and Colin D'Elia with $1 million. What is the plan in net, my friend?
To lose.
Lose.
The objective thing here to do is trade at least Taves, correct?
I would say at least Keith, but you should definitely explore trading at least one of the other two as well. But they're not gonna. It doesn't sound like they're gonna.
No, I don't think they are. I don't think they are either. And then who's your second line center? You got Smith, Janmark, Carpenter.
If you're trading, if you're trading the big two plus maybe Keith, then it doesn't matter, right? Then it's all about just losing.
Yeah.
You're rebuilding this whole franchise from the bottom.
Guys, I gotta be honest. I don't hate the idea of keeping the two of them around. If you're gonna have two guys to learn from, I don't hate that. They're captain and the assistant. And I understand the history that comes with talking about Patrik Laine. I get it. But you have to, in hockey circles for whatever reason, that's different. I've met Jonathan Toews. I've interviewed Jonathan Toews. I can understand why people want to follow Jonathan Toews through a brick wall. Guy's impressive. And he's passionate.
Say that again.
Jonathan Toews?
Guy's impressive.
He's an impressive man. He really is.
You said that.
He's a guy that you stop and you listen to. He's just got that presence. So having met him and knowing that, I could see why you'd want to have him around and keep him as your captain. I feel like those two deserve to retire as Blackhawks.
Yeah, that's what
three
CJ
Stanley
said.
Cups. Like there was the franchise had 3 cups total before those guys arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And now and they have 3 cups with them. I get that. But what are you keeping Keith for? What's that all about?
I don't think they have a choice. I think that's.
Yeah, but we keep saying about that with the guys who've been with franchises forever. We said it with Brodeur, we said it with Lundqvist, we said it with Sundin, we said it with all these guys who just eventually.
Sundin was a free agent though, and chose not to move, and then moved.
Mm-hmm. But the example is just, hey, the guy's been with the franchise forever, and they leave. We always hope that it's the Kobe Bryant situation, it's the Sedin situations where the hometown guys who are homegrown and they play with their team for the entire career. We hope they stay there and they retire. But more often than not, they finish their career somewhere else just because they want to get one last kick at the can and the team they're on isn't doing it anymore. So I don't see a path where Taves and Kane finish their careers out with the Blackhawks. It's just more likely than not they'll be somewhere else at the end of it.
The door seems pretty wide open to just, at very least this season, I'm struggling to see how they're going to be good.
Me too. I don't.
Colin Delia, by the way, I was looking at his NHL numbers, and he did not play in the NHL this past season. I didn't realize that. I don't know if that was injury or what. It's tough to win in this league without goaltending, man. Real tough.
So let's
they can still make moves.
Yeah, sure can.
There's still a couple bombs waiting to go off. Like whatever happened to Columbus exploring the idea of trading Joonas Korpisalo? And we already know Kekalainen's got a relationship with Stan Bowman, and they've made trades in the past. All of a sudden, you throw Korpisalo in net. Okay, that's interesting. That's a little interesting.
By the way, breaking news about the Florida Panthers. According to David Pagnotta at the fourth period, the Florida Panthers are taking a big leap into analytics. Again, Chris Boucher from Sportlogic is joining the organization, and the team will be adding another experienced analytics person as well.
Is he going to be like doing that when he's not playing games for the Raptors, or?
I think it's a different Chris Boucher. Okay. But maybe I think Andrew Berkshire would know Chris because he works with Sportlogic, doesn't he?
Yeah, I would think they'd be coworkers,
right?
Acquainted
so,
at very least. Yeah.
Maybe they're hiring Andrew, and he hasn't told us yet. If Andrew gets hired by the Panthers and doesn't tell us first and doesn't allow us to break that, are we friends off?
Yeah.
I'd be cheesed. I'd be cheesed.
Yeah.
I'd be a little cheesed.
I'd be mad.
I want to be inside.
I would call him a cab and drive him to the airport. I would Gerard Gallant him to the Panthers.
Uber.
Wow.
Moving on. Let's do the press conference.
The presser. The Steve Dangle press conference.
I have a question here from
Andrew Berkshire. Sorry.
Not Andrew Berkshire. Quinlan Birmingham on Instagram. I'm wondering what you guys think of an inflated cap at the trade deadline. For example, If the cap was $81.5 million at the start of the season, it might go up to $95 million or so at the trade deadline, allowing cap-strapped teams to still make a splash. Thanks for the great work. Love the SDP. What do you guys think?
That idea is far too fun to ever happen.
I love when my ideas get asked back to me a year later.
Oh,
That was my fucking idea, and you guys said I was crazy. You said I was crazy.
Adam said
I
F.
was
Quinlan.
crazy.
Wow.
I said cap accelerator at the trade deadline.
Wow.
so you're for it?
Yes, I'm for it. And it's a
you're
great
for
idea.
it?
Thanks, Adam Wild, for coming up with that great Adam Wild idea. Adam
I think
Actually, I'm what was the person's name? Is Quinlan?
Quinlan Birmingham.
That's a hell of a name, Quinlan.
Yeah.
Quinlan Birmingham. You and I should start a cool guy club. And we will be the cool guys who believe that the cap is restrictive and no fun.
Yeah, but when would you hang out? They're too busy driving NASCAR with a name like that.
That's so true.
Quinlan Birmingham in 6th place, but he's coming up the rear. And I don't know, man. Quinlan Birmingham.
I think this show as a collective is just generally in support of any cap shenanigans that make the league more fun. You know?
Yes, and again, you can have cap shenaniganery without excluding small market teams. And this is what drives me bananas about this argument is that the idea that luxury tax can't exist or luxury to hard tax can't exist to the benefit of teams that are lower revenue producers is insane. It's just wrong. It's not factual, and it drives me crazy every time we talk about it because we've seen this example work time and time again in other leagues, and no one wants to acknowledge that.
Why can't you just trade cap space?
Oh,
Well, I think
You should be able to do that.
I don't know if you should be able to do that. I
Why
think you
shouldn't you
should
be
trade
able to?
actual dollars. I don't know about cap space. Because then you could have like a team at the Leafs that just loads up an
yeah. They have a
That's bad.
$200 million cap.
I think that's
for
dumb.
reason.
No, I don't think.
Yeah, but you have to give up something to get that. Right? You got to trade things in order to get cap space from people. So what, are they just never going to pick again? Or how's that going to
Yeah,
work?
the Leafs. It would be back to the Leafs of the mid '90s. Trade every draft pick you've ever had, and just sign a bunch of guys. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm crazy about that one, Steve. But I could.
I
think
don't
about it.
hate.
How about
I
that?
don't hate the baseball thing where you can trade cash.
Mhm.
Or you just cash considerations. You know, that's not bad.
Yeah, but I guess that benefits rich teams.
Yeah, but why not?
Well, like we already
it's a
do.
business.
They already do garbage versions of this.
Yeah.
The ghost of Pavel Datsyuk was traded.
Yeah,
Chris
Pronger.
Chris Pronger. Mark Savard's
Grabowski is still in the
contract.
Leafs books, man.
Yeah,
Clarkson. Yeah,
but like Grabowski was at least a compliance buyout,
yes.
which was like a fun coupon handed out at the lockout. But like there are already there's plenty of cap shenanigans that go on. Like let's just make it honest. That's all I'm saying.
LTIR.
Which is dishonest.
Totally. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, we want this guy to be on our team. Get out of here.
That's a good look. Woo!
Come on.
I'll never forget the day that the Leafs got David Clarkson back.
Back.
I know. Come on.
The untradeable contract was actually a boomerang,
Yeah.
and we did not know that. the
Next
time.
question, Jesse.
Next question comes from Nick. Nick writes, I think we've touched on this before, but it's always interesting. Should
Touched on this before, so he stole an idea from Adam as well.
Adam Wild asks, should hockey, and more specifically the NHL, look at abolishing offsides and the blue lines? It would open up the game and allow for more speed. Just seems like the modern two-line pass. What do you guys think?
Similar answer to Quinlan. Your idea is far too fun to ever actually happen.
Yeah.
So thank you for your fun suggestion, but sorry.
Jeff Merrick's been a big proponent of this for years. I don't understand the point of it.
And Jeff's
don't
reasoning is good.
Well, sorry. What was Jeff's reasoning?
If you were coming up with a sport from scratch, you would never come up with the concept of offside.
Over and back, I can see. Like once you get over center, you can't come back. With
You
the
keep
puck.
the red line.
Yeah, you keep the red line, and you can't go back over the red line once you're over it. I like that. like kind of basically the same as basketball. Yeah, 100%. I don't understand. I think what's happened fundamentally is the game physically has changed so much in the past 25 years. You look at the speed and the equipment and the technology and the sheer size of the players and how fast the game is and how fast the puck moves and how amazing their passes are and all of those things. The blue line is sort of irrelevant. It just sort of gets in the way. And you think about how many stupid goals are called back, how many amazing moments are destroyed by instant replay. Even if the goal counts, the moment's gone. And first off, I'm a big, like, if they didn't call it within 10 seconds, it shouldn't, like, it's not offside. Like if you enter the zone illegally a minute before that and you keep it in the zone for a minute, it should not be able to be called back. That's insane. See, I think if you get rid of the blue line, you get rid of all of that stuff. And the fact is, the more room that players have to skate and set up, the more exciting it will be. I wasn't at first when I heard this, but I am absolutely pro blue line being gone. I don't know what it adds to the game. I can only see negatives.
You're thinking about like the obvious consequences of it, but like just the having to stop up, having to literally stand still at the blue line and wait for someone and then start. It slows the game down in a way that nothing else does. And you can hook and hold as much as you want. It's not going to slow you down as much as that little bit of blue paint on the ice. I don't like it.
I think it's a pointless thing. It's just a stupid thing that gets in the way.
It's just a stupid bit of stupid.
Well, the other thing is if I see the Leafs do another draw pass at the blue line this year, I'm gonna vomit all over, projectile vomit, Exorcist style, all over my apartment.
It's gonna be great when they get like 5 breakaways on the power play in the first game just by not doing it. Yeah. Everyone's gonna be like, "What?
Hold on,
the guy with the puck just kind of used it
and went in. He went in.
Is he on drugs? What happened? I want that guy's gonna piss hot.
What do you mean he rushed it?
Yeah. What do you mean he just kind of played hockey?
Who's this guy? Bobby Orr? Stupid. No one's done that since the 70s. What an idiot. Anyway.
No, what you should definitely do is all stand 4 of you flat at the blue line and then let the last guy back take it. That will never bite you once. It will never, not once.
Jesse, next question.
This one comes from Donnie at Bruins in 3 on Twitter. How long,
Donnie? It's in 7.
How long before Connor McDavid requests a trade out of Edmonton?
I don't think he will now.
This isn't the year we see it happen?
No. I mean, what did we say last year? If Edmonton didn't get their shit together this year, the clock was ticking, and all this offseason, we would have seen it. I say the same with Buffalo now. Clock starts now. If Buffalo does not have something tangible to show Jack Eichel, he's going to be gone next year. And I think Steve, I don't know if you agree, but I think Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers have something to build around.
Listen, they got screwed.
They did.
they got screwed. They were going to very, very make the playoffs. They got screwed.
Yeah.
Too bad, so sad. They agreed on the rules. Everyone did. Mm-hmm. The Penguins, you almost you give more of a pass to, on just because they didn't like it from day one. The Oilers were like, yeah, sure, bring it on. And we get to play on home ice. And they just got, but they, like the Penguins, didn't start their starter in game 1. And the biggest glare I see on that team is goaltending. And they ran it back in one of the deepest goaltending markets there's been in forever. I tell you what would be a hell of a tandem, which they can't do now because they just brought Mike Smith back for $2 million. Whatever it costs to get, I'll say it again, Korpisalo out of Columbus. Ooh. Korpisalo Koskinen. Ooh. Ooh. That was part of what drove me nuts about them bringing back Mike Smith is you didn't even have to bring in a starter. You had to bring in like a tandem goalie to go with Koskinen, who took a big step last year. And you ran it back with Mike Smith. I don't get it. I don't get that at all. But, sorry, no, Connor McDavid's not going to ask for a trade because the Oilers are, at very least, decent now.
Yep, there's hope there. They could do, if Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl get hot, they're so good that you could potentially, they could carry a team. They could carry a team in the finals, for sure.
They could carry a team to the playoffs at very least. I liked the way Engels worded it. last show. He's like, you could have two players that are better than everybody, but to win a Stanley Cup, you still need more than that.
He's right. Still. Right things line up. Could be fun. Now, last question, Jess. Do you have one?
Last question's from a dear friend. Their name is ZHawk2K15 on Twitter.
That's a good name.
They're a Blackhawks fan, and this question was asked in a, I assume, trolling kind of way to us Leaf fans. But it's something that's being thrown out from the aviator selfie truck guys Twitter, Leaf fan Twitter accounts. I've seen a couple times.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean Oakley's. I wear aviators. There's nothing wrong with aviators.
Sorry. I meant Oakley's. I said aviators.
Okay.
I meant Oakley's. My bad.
Yes.
With the acquisition of Jimmy Vesey, is it time for the Leafs to trade William Nylander?
That is an old joke. That goes way back.
Yes, and that question comes from Darren Dreger.
That was, I think that was a comment Darren Dreger made once on Leafs Lunch that if the Leafs had signed Jimmy Vesey, Nylander would have already been gone.
That was 2016.
Yeah, man. It's a long time ago.
Nylander had played like 20 games.
The thing is, I don't know that like Darren Dreger didn't make that up. Somebody in the organization said that to him.
Right.
Yeah, maybe he works on them now.
No, Poulin wasn't there yet. He wasn't there yet.
He was with the Leafs organization.
No, sorry. Poulin, no, he was gone by that point. No. This is the Matthews, Marner, Nylander beginning. Poulin was gone.
And also, I would like to hear the clip because we've seen it in writing and it's terrible in writing. But I wonder if it was just something he went,
Yeah, it could have been an opinion. It could have been something he thought. I think people gave him, at the time it was a bit, and now it's a bit.
But I get why guys are defensive about like being quoted about what they said on the radio or podcast. Because like sometimes I read what I said and I'm like, well, what I read is. but like if you hear me say it, it's a lot more benign than.
Yeah, the thing is too, if you're doing this, you're gonna have some cold takes, man. There's just gonna be they're gonna be rotten, and that's just something you live with. So Darren and everybody else. The reason that Darren has so many is because Darren has made an extremely successful career, and he's gotten a lot of shit right. And as much as people like to rag on the guy, he's gotten a lot of shit right. And so he's got to, there's a credibility that comes with that. And you're going to have times where you're not right. Ask me. Do it every show, every segment even.
Okay. Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah. Speak for yourself.
I will.
Can we put a cap on the trading Nylander conversation?
I think so.
He's if they start losing trending again today because of an argument last night.
Yeah. It's the Stu.
Oh, so no.
So it was Anthony Stewart.
Yeah,
who said he'd prefer Kapanen at 3.2 than Nylander at 6.9, and
which I disagree with, and that's fine
because people are saying if you get rid of Nylander, then it's the 6 whatever plus a defenseman and all the cash. Would you rather have that or Nylander?
But I don't know what this. What I would ask Anthony Stewart is, what is this trade?
Yeah,
like who is this defenseman?
I don't know if that's
magically available.
Like,
the other thing is that we've seen it. Elliot Friedman even said in 31 Thoughts, the way other GMs value William Nylander would be the same way Anthony Stewart would value Nylander. They don't value him highly. So or at least as highly as the Leafs do. So if you're trading him at a loss to a team that doesn't value him as much as you do. So you're not going to win that trade. You're just not.
I love William Nylander. What team is giving up a top pair right-handed defenseman for any winger of any kind?
Not happening.
No, it's not happening. Exist. I would say though, with the Anthony Stewart stuff and the reaction to it, this October is July and August disguised as October.
Right.
Right. So it's a different time because COVID pushed everything back, but these are the dregs. This is the dog days. Don't spend your night arguing about this ever. You don't need to. Any of you. Just don't. Yeah. It's not necessary. There are so many better ways to spend your energy. That our goal is to make sure William Nylander does not trend until there are games. All right? For crying out loud.
It was a heck of a take, but at the end of the day.
So what?
There are going to be takes out there that you disagree with. It happens. It happens.
So what?
Objectively, I would say to him that he's wrong. But you're not moving him off that stance. He's made it now. Now he's sticking to it. So,
but
like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, but like, to me, I was watching like an inside joke conversation between him and his coworkers.
Right.
That everyone then went, "Ruh." And so he had to respond, and then they responded, and I'm like, this does not need to be 3 hours.
But it was.
Yeah, it was.
But it was. And like, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying, gosh, there's so many other things to do, even with COVID. Go for a walk. It's great. It's good stuff.
Hey, so listen, we're going to have the show on Sunday, and then we will have a show next Wednesday, and then we're going to update the schedule from there and let you know what we're going to be doing after that. Obviously, there is still arbitrations to go through. There are still some pretty massive unsigned free agents out there. I wonder how many of these go till whatever, the 1st of December or 1st of January, whenever the new season will start to kick into gear and guys will get ready.
Rangers are going to get Barzal.
Yeah, Rangers are going to get Barzal. How many of those guys? Like,
two
imagine Hammond comes to camp on a PTO. Like how? Like not no offense. I'm sure Travis Hamonic can need a deal, but imagine big name player gets PTO because there's no money.
We forgot about PTO season,
right?
I forgot about that.
So this is going to be very interesting stuff to watch as the NHL is squeezed, as everybody else is, by COVID-19. So we will. We hope you have a great rest of the week. We'll see you Sunday.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.